Today, we're answering a question that thousands of contractors, suppliers, and construction professionals have. How do you actually do business with one of the region's leading general contractors? Joining us today is Yomi Adeyemo, Director of Community Engagement at Juneau Construction. Today, we're going to walk through how Juneau finds trade partners, what they're looking for, where to find opportunities, common mistakes businesses make, and how to position yourself to earn a seat at the table. Here at the Commercial Builders Network, we say, construction can change your life, and it's starting to look more like you. This is the Commercial Builders Network, where trust is restored, power is reclaimed, and legacy is built. Let's get to work. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the Commercial Builders Network. My name is Tanisha Reed, and I'm your host. And today we have the amazing Yomi Adeyemo from Juneau. He is the Community Engagement Director. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I am well. And it's good to have you here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So I know there's a lot of people out there that want to do business with Juneau. Can you tell me what type of business are you guys looking to partner with?
So Juneau Construction does a wide range of things, right? So we do a good bit of new construction. So anything from demolition, site, concrete to the finishes, right? We do interior build out projects as well too. We do renovation projects on the construction side. So there's a lot of opportunities as it relates to trades. On the corporate side, we order promotional items, marketing items. We do events, so there's a need for catering. So there are a couple of services that are not, I would say, related to the project or job site per se, but there are still opportunities that small businesses could be a part of.
Awesome. And where are they able to see what kind of opportunities that you guys offer?
Yeah. So it's really based upon the need. Sometimes as it relates to the trades, we will do an outreach event, whether it's virtual or in person. And we'll share the opportunities there. Other way is to complete a pre-qualification, and then you'll get bids that are related to the capacity that you have been approved for, or just simply by just following up, with me or pre-construction department for those type of opportunities.
So when somebody submits their pre-qualification, what are the things that guys are looking for in that process?
So our risk department takes the lead in reviewing pre-qualification, right? For me, I work with the small businesses or diverse businesses through the process. So even though I am not the one looking through the paperwork, but I'm guiding them through the process. And really for the risk department, they look at a couple of things. One, your experience level, right, which is a big factor into what you can do, right? Number two is your safety record, specifically for our trade partners, right? Number three is just financial as well too, because obviously finance is a big indicator of your growth in your business, right? And then the cash flow aspect, because we don't want to give a project where you don't have enough cash flow, right? And so those are the couple of big factors involved when they are reviewing the pre-qualification application.
So with all these companies, all these events that you go to, what will make a company, I guess, stand out and say, okay, maybe we would consider, I guess, doing some conversation with them. I know that you got to do the pre-qualification, but I know relationships is really big as well.
Yeah. So what would make a company stand out is their preparation, their level of readiness, right? Meaning that if there's a particular project that we're doing, have they done the research to know A, about Juneau Construction, what markers we do, B, have they done research to know more about that project or the location of it, right? And also how the business is structured, right? So when they are sharing about the services that they offer, and how they are able to provide resources to do a successful project. Those are the kind of things that stand out to where we want to engage with that company. Of course, after the pre-qualification application is processed.
So, is there anything, I guess, on the opposite side that stands out that could basically hurt people's chances, or something that you commonly see that keeps people from getting the opportunity?
I mean, there are a couple of things that could hurt your opportunity. Again, pre-qualification is a big indicator, right? So if there's any safety issues that your company has had in the past, that can hurt your opportunity. The lack of communication as well, too. If you're not responsive, right? I mean, I know as small businesses, owners wearing multiple hats, right? And they may not have the opportunity to do so many things, but communication is key. So if you're not able to meet certain deadlines, at least communicate that. And I see a lot of times where that communication is lacking, and people miss out on those opportunities, and it's a red flag, right? I would also say just preparation. If you're approaching me about an opportunity and based off the conversation, I can easily tell that you don't know the type of projects we do, right? Then it just tells me that you haven't done your research. You're not intentional, and that's a factor that can hinder you from getting an opportunity.
Is there any kind of certifications that would help the person's chances of doing business with you guys?
Yeah, great question. So as the individual that oversees our supply diversity program and representing Juneau Construction is a woman-owned company, and next year we'll be celebrating 30 years in business. And so a lot of people know the history behind Juneau, but Juneau started off very small, and it was because of opportunities granted to us, right, to a small business, a woman-owned business, that we have been able to grow. And we've taken advantage of those opportunities. We've been successful, right? And so therefore we want to be able to give back. We want to be able to invest in diverse businesses, right? And so we don't do a whole lot of federal projects, and a lot of our clients don't have those requirements for those participation goals. But internally, we always strive to be strategic and involved in diverse businesses. So yes, certifications like women-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, small business helps in that aspects of us fulfilling that initiative that we're trying to do to give back to the community, to cultivate and develop small businesses as well.
Awesome. So I want to dive a little bit more into the history, because I know you've been with Juno for quite some time. It's been what, a decade?
About 13 years, yeah.
13 years. Whew, you must be getting old.
I'm climbing up the ladder.
I haven't up the ladder, but going from with an intern all the way up to the community engagement director, that is awesome. Can you tell me about your experience and what this company means to you to stay so long?
Yeah, so it has been a long time, and every time we have interns, there's always a questionnaire that they have to find somebody that's been with Juno for at least 10 years, and so I'm usually the one that they find. But yeah, I started out doing an internship with Juno my last year at Georgia Southern University. I was majoring in construction management, and it was tough for me to find an intern at that time. Um, it was as if companies wanted you to have experience before you did an internship. And so I told myself, the company that gives me opportunity, I would at least commit to 3 to 5 years with that company, right? And so Juno gave me that opportunity internship. After I graduated, they offered me a full-time position, which I did. And I always knew I wanted a company that had core values that were common to mine. And it wasn't a large company, it was a small company, family feel. And so those 3 to 5 years went by pretty fast. I, loved the company, stayed with the company. And obviously I'm here at this point, 13 years. It was about 3 years ago that I kind of made a pivot from being a project manager to community engagement manager to now the director. And it just shows you that Juneau is invested in their people, right? And so they want to see their people grow. They've been investing in me in the different things that I'm passionate about to where I get to have a position that I oversee, outreach, workforce development, and supply diversity. So this company has a lot of great values, and that's why I've remained with this company.
Awesome. So, one of the core values of this podcast is building trust or rebuilding trust with the community. Could you tell me 'cause something that bothers a lot of people is they don't want to bid on large opportunities with larger contractors due to the fact that they think that they already know who they're going to work with before the bid is released. Can you speak to that and the integrity of Juno?
I've heard that perception before, and I always like to give I guess you could say a demonstration, right, or perspective, because I think we're all guilty of that, right? So for instance, we all have our favorite places we go to eat. We all have our favorite place that we get our haircuts, right? We're typically consistent in that because that person, that restaurant has provided good service, right? And
Mhm.
so in that same manner of trust, right, you gain trust with those type of people or places. So you continue to go back to them. So I think by default, it's a human nature to go back to something that has produced good results. However, there's going to be times where that barber or that restaurant may be closed, and now you have to find another option, right? But before you get to that point, you have to be intentional about creating opportunities for other places, other restaurants, other barbers. Same thing with business, right? You want to be able to cultivate good relationships, right? But you also want to create opportunities for new relationships. And so it's a balance, right? And so, yes, on projects, depending on the location, we want to make sure that we have companies that have worked with us before, that we know could get the job done. But we also want to create room for companies that been wanting to do work with us. They are ready to do work with us, as well too. So we are trying to get better at being strategic with our approach, right? To create those opportunities, the right opportunities for small businesses within our projects.
So, what quality do you value the most from suppliers and contractors that want to work with you?
I think just transparency. I mean, again, not every small businesses will be ready to do work with Juno, right? And I believe the perfect small business will be a business that's emergent, that has some level of experience, but they're growing, right? And I've seen a lot of times going to a lot of networking events, there's companies that have started in residential and, that's really majority of their portfolio is residential. And they're trying to get into the commercial, but because of the large projects that we do, it's kind of hard to give a company, award a company a scope of work if all they have done is residential, right? So they have to start off and slowly get into the commercial realm. But it takes you to, or the business to identify and say, hey, this is where I'm at, right? And this is where I want to go. So I think a level of transparency, not biting more than you can chew, not overcommitting. Those are the qualities that are important to making sure that you're successful, which will lead to us being successful.
So, if it is a person that is in that predicament, what is your advice to them in order to be prepared to do business with Juno?
Yes, and specifically in the predicament that they have just done residential work. Is that the
Yeah,
case? Yeah.
residential.
So I would say coming to some of our events, or talking to me and just kind of laying out, okay, how do I get to this step, right? And for instance, pertaining to what market or what kind of project you want to do with Juno, right? Because we are heavy in student housing and multifamily. So let's just say, for instance, that there's a company that does painting and all they've been doing is painting houses, right? And they want to transition into more commercial, right? Painting is one of those skills where it's easier to transition because, I mean, walls are walls, right?
Yeah.
It's more of a matter of the quantity and the amount of crew. that you have to have. So I will say taking our Cultivate classes that we have from time to time and understand, okay, what type of manpower is needed to operate in this space? What type of cash flow is needed to operate in the space? What kind of documents, records do I need to have to get to that point to where I feel that I'm ready to do work with Juneau? So I think just understanding those expectations first, at least, so that you can work towards it. And then once you're ready, then, coming to Juneau.
Awesome. So you said something about Cultivate classes. Can you dive in a little bit to that and what that is?
Yes. So Cultivate is a program that we started about 2 years ago, and it's a trade partner development program geared towards diverse businesses, particularly smaller businesses. And so we started our pilot phase again 2 years ago. This year we took a pause because we were trying to revamp it and make it more of a cohort style program, which will be rolled out in 2027. And it basically has different sessions, different topics, whether it's, scheduling and manpower, how to create a successful bid, risk and safety, financial, financial tips and pay apps. So there's a lot of information and expectation from Juneau that we want to convey to these small businesses to make sure that they are ready. And again, it's targeted for emerging businesses, so businesses that are almost ready to do work with us, but they have to go through those expectations to understand exactly what we are requiring and what would make them successful on the project.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. That's going to be really good to be able to go through a cohort, learn the different steps, and even build the relationship with
That's
Juno
right.
and trust there. So that's awesome. I want to dive into more of the industry's issue with workforce. What is Juno seeing? What is you guys' perspective since you guys are on a larger scale?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, workforce development is something that I'm passionate about. Um, yeah, it's a struggle with just hiring individuals in the industry. I mean, I think the recent stats show that about 90% of firms are struggling with hiring skilled labor. About 80% of firms are struggling hiring individuals, full-time positions. So I think a lot of companies are facing the challenge. And so I think about 3 years ago, Juno decided that we really want to invest in the next generation and how do we do that with workforce development? With the pain point of trying to get individuals within the industry, we decided to focus on the K to 12 and untraditional routes, right? I think a lot of companies are used to going to colleges and recruiting, but just due to the demand now, we have to be creative. And so, what does creativity mean? Well, we're going to schools, we're building those relationships, we're sharing about the opportunities in the industry, right? We just started a work-based learning program, which is pretty much a high school internship program. So some individuals may not want to go to college. They want to go directly into the workforce. So we're trying to create some pathways within our company for that. We're also tapping into veterans as well too. So there are veterans who are looking for positions. They have great skills, being trained in the Army, Navy, or the military, and so they can bring those skills into the industry. I've met teachers, different individuals that have different careers that have gotten into the industry. And so it's just a matter of, okay, how do we make roles that can be easily transferred into and then build a pathway for them to be successful so that they could continue to move up. And so I believe that Juno has been doing a great job in that and will continue to do a better job in the future.
Awesome. So what does your internship program look like?
Uh, College internship or the work-based learning?
The work-based learning first.
Okay. Yeah. So it's something that we just rolled out, but we've had success. Last year we had a work-based learning student in Knoxville, and that position was more related to our reality capture. And basically, with technology is being used a lot in construction now, and We utilize cameras to capture different rooms, right, on a frequent basis. And that data is captured and helps us identify the schedule, identify what is missing. And so, again, I mean, you don't have to know too much to walk around with a camera, right? But as the student was doing that, he's learning a lot of different aspects of the industry, right? He's learning what goes inside of the walls. He's learning the different roles in a project team. And fortunately for us, fortunately for him, once he was done with the work-based learning program and he graduated, he accepted a job with us, and so it basically is, learning or job shadowing somebody, right? But being exposed to different roles in the industry. So we try to be more intentional, just the fact that this individual may not know too much about construction, may not know the different roles. We want to expose that individual to the job site and the different roles that are there, so that that person could be open to the possibilities of the different opportunities.
I do love that with you all, it seems to be a consistent thing of if you get the internship, you can have a good chance of getting a job. And so that's good because I've been through internships where they just kind of, rolling through the free work kind of deal. So I think that speaks volumes to you guys as an organization. But that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, on the college front, I want to shout out our college recruiter because they do a great job. They have a great internship. I mean, the rate of the individuals that go through the internship and actually get a full-time job is pretty high, and so that's just goes back to the intentionality, right? Being intentional with the exposure, making sure that it's a good experience for both the student and for us, and so we're trying to now do that with the high school. Again, to give that pipeline. Now, some high school students may want to go to college, but again, they'll have that opportunity to do a college intern. But for those who want to go directly in the field, we're hoping to have more positions open.
Awesome. Now, for someone who has no construction experience, whether it's they're coming from high school or they're looking to pivot, because like I said, there's a lot of people that are pivoting industries right now and considering construction. What is your first piece of advice to get for them to get started?
Yeah, just to do some research. Um, I think doing some research will help you understand like what is construction, what are the opportunities, because I think people have a misconception that construction, as it relates to like any general contractor or whatever, is just hands and hands and I'm sorry, nails and hammer, right? And that you're just constantly using your hands in the field. Well, there's other aspects of the industry, right? I mean, in our company, we have engineering services, which helps us do the layout. So they're constantly using the technology, but they're both on the field. So I consider them as hybrid, right? But there's a virtual design construction world to where you're operating out in the office, but you're pretty much building the project in a computer. There's support teams that we have from different offices, corporate marketing, accounting, but obviously geared towards construction. So there's so many opportunities outside of the trades, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, that someone could transition to. We even have a data analytics team, right? I mean, so there's just a lot of opportunities, especially as technology continues to advance in construction. It's going to help us create more positions and more opportunities in the industry.
So, what makes this industry such a rewarding place to build a future?
Man, funny you ask, because I was on vacation last week in Tampa, and I spent about 2 years in Tampa when we were building our first multifamily project in there. And my family was there, and I was able to kind of show them the project that I was a part of, and that's always rewarding for me as an individual, having been out in the operations team, and just the fact that I could show people, hey, this is a building that I participated in, but also with my new role that I'm very passionate about, with just mentoring and exposing students to the possibilities and the opportunities of construction, is rewarding when I see an individual that maybe I went to this classroom with and talked about opportunities, we exposed them to opportunities and found out that they, made that choice to go into construction, right? I believe that's, very rewarding, and to see that is great. To see little kids, excited about, pouring concrete planters, is also rewarding to me. So I think there's just so many rewarding things about construction, and that's why I really love this industry.
Awesome. Do you guys have any upcoming projects, bid opportunities, events that you could speak on?
Yeah, so we have some upcoming projects. We have two projects in Atlanta that will be starting sometime next year. One will be at the Atlanta Youth Academy. They're doing a expansion. And so they're expanding their current gym, and then they're adding a new building as well for early education. So um, hopefully we'll have an outreach event for that either later this year or early next year. We're also doing a mass timber project in Atlanta, so that'll be coming up soon. So there'll be more details on that since we're still in the preliminary stages of those drawings. We currently have some projects outside of Atlanta, in like South Carolina. A lot of our projects are outside of Atlanta or Georgia in general. So for companies that do travel to different locations in the Southeast, we have a project starting in Rock Hill, South Carolina. It's a student housing project there. So there's a couple opportunities, and there's more in the pipeline that's just in more of the conceptual stage.
Awesome. So aside from maybe the small businesses that you guys are looking to work with, are there any other partners that you guys are looking to do business with?
One thing that has been developing, I think, in the last couple of years, but specifically within Juneau, 2 years, is more of a design build approach, meaning that in the past, we would be the general contractor. The client will contract directly with the design team. And so we will work with the design team, but we're all underneath the client, right? But with the design build approach, um, Juno will contract the architect, the mechanical engineer, so some design aspects of it, which gives us, some opportunities to work with other companies, right? And so there is a potential opportunity for those types of partnership with design firms. Again, there's not a whole lot of that we do, but there is some of those um, approaches from time to time. I would say with possibly labor services, like skilled labor services. So as we are expanding our retail build out team in our interiors division, there may be a need for us to supplement our teams there. Juno has been growing over the years rapidly, and I do think that there's going to be opportunities as we are growing to supplement some of those teams.
Awesome. Where can they get connected with you? And I don't think I asked specifically, is there a bid board that you actually use specifically to actually roll out your opportunities for contracts?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, we don't use a bid board. Our approach is a little bit different. The way that pre-construction team looks at things is that we want to be intentional and strategic when it comes to the number of bids that we get for different trades, right? Because we want our estimators to be able to actually have some type of relationship, actually have time to communicate with you, actually have time to provide feedback. And it's hard to do that when you have so many companies bidding a particular scope, right? So from time to time, we try to target between 3 to 6 trade partners per scope. And so because of that, we invite companies to bid. But again, it's the invite is based off of the approved list that we have. So once you go through the pre-qualification project or the process, I'm sorry, you'll be approved on a particular capacity level, and based off of that, based off the location, the pre-construction team will reach out obviously, as my job to oversee supplier diversity, I'm looking at the bid list. I'm looking at the sub coverage for each project and making sure that different small businesses are included, the ones that are ready as far as the capacity level to be able to be included. So it's a strategic process. But to answer your question, no, we don't have a posting of the different opportunities. Again, from time to time, we'll have outreach events, whether it's virtual or meet and greets in person. But for the most part, just fill out a pre-qualification process, and then either the pre-con team will reach out or I will reach out concerning a specific project that we believe that it will be right for you.
Awesome. And I'll just add one question. What are your thoughts on at these different events that people that meet in a room that are interested in doing business with you collaborating to get these opportunities? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I preach that all the time. So I always tell small businesses, right, to not just look for that vertical opportunity, right? Look for horizontal opportunities. Um, like I feel that there are opportunities for collaborating with each other, right? Especially if you have a limited capacity, you could work with another company to have capacity. At the end of the day, right, there is just going to be one company on the contract, right? But if you're able to supplement your team, your crew, your resources with another company, by all means, I mean, definitely work that angle. But also, you could work, I mean, I would say, for that person as well, too. Um, in terms of a larger company, right? So when we have these meet and greets, we'll have our larger companies there as well, too. So maybe there's an opportunity for you to do a part or a piece of the work that they're doing as well, too. So don't just look for the vertical opportunities, look for the horizontal opportunities as well.
Awesome. One more time. How can I get in contact with you and where's the prequal?
Yeah. So you get in contact with me through LinkedIn by sending me an email at YADEYEMO at Juneau, JUNEAUCC.com. And as far as a prequal, once you get in contact with me, I will copy my risk team in and they'll send you a link through our Procore portal, which is where we do pre-qualification. And then we'll get that process going. Depending on the size of your company, we do have a short form pre-qualification, which is just a 2-page PDF that we'll send as well too. And then we'll, help you through that process. Typically, you would hear back from me if you're a small business as far as your capacity level, and then we'll talk about the next steps. But yes, feel free to reach out. I'm here to answer any questions. I'm available, and I'm looking for the opportunity to meet you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Yami, so much for your time. It's been great.
Again, thank you for having me, and appreciate you for doing this, for getting the word out about the opportunities. I think this is important for a small business to be aware of the opportunities and to hopefully get some insight. So thank you for having me.
No problem.